But again, you have to pay the price for that. It's premium quality traffic. You might not have the budget for that. You might spend all of your budget on two, maybe three, maybe five clicks and be done for the whole day. You might tap out or cap out by midday, with a low budget, bidding on exact match keywords. So this is why I think broad match would be a better strategy. 5, 10, maybe 15 broad match keywords, and every 2 to 3, maybe 5 days at a push, go inside, stay on top of your search terms report, add negative keywords, because as we know, broad match triggers a lot of low quality searches.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Gene Villanos from the PPC Cave, and my co-host Ryan Fenton is here today. And it's been a while, like I always say, but you have best of the both worlds with me and Ryan here to provide you value. How's it going, Ryan?
Yeah, really good. It's good to be back with you. Been a couple of weeks now where you've been celebrating 4th of July, and I've been kind of trying my best to look after the channel. I think last week I kind of dropped the ball a little bit, and you fumbled something together, which was good. But no, it's good to be back, and yeah, happy 4th of July. How was 4th of July for you, by the way?
Oh man, 4th of July was great. I got to visit my father-in-law out in the countryside, and we got to blow up a lot of fireworks and eat a lot of food and have a couple of adult beverages. So it was very relaxing, and I'm glad to be back. But yeah,
Nice.
no, I appreciate you, Ryan, and everyone out there, subscribers should appreciate Ryan too for making sure that he keeps the channel going. As you know, sometimes we'll take turns being out, but yeah, definitely appreciate it, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But yeah, for sure. And so today we continue our series of Google Ads for beginners, and we're talking about low budget campaigns. Can they work? So episode 26 is about low budget campaigns and can they work? And for me, the biggest thing is understanding that budget is the baseline of what Google is because Google Ads is an auction. Of course, there's so many different things that go into a successful Google Ads account, but we can't forget the fact that there is budget that needs to be spent each month and each day. So understanding that budget is the baseline for an auction, I think that's really, really important. And sometimes, we won't know the strategy or how to bid if we don't have a budget to work backwards from. So what I like to ask all clients in an intro Zoom call is, if you were to give me a full 3 months budget, what would that be? Even if you only got one sale or lead from those 3 months, because when you say zero, then everyone's eye, that's not a good way to sell yourself. So I like to say at least just one, right? That's one of the things that I ask all clients, and I'm saying, okay, what is it for 3 months so that we can work backwards and divide that by 3. And for me, I'm sure Ryan is the same way. In the first month, it's usually a lower budget than the second or third month just because it's a feeler month. So sometimes that full, if you divide it by 3, that first month budget doesn't really translate, the same the first month, second month, and third month. But I just like to ask them, what is the overall budget? Then we move backwards. And why is this even a question? Because a lot of the times clients don't understand that Google Ads may not be a fit. And we can go into that later on. But I just wanted to ask you, Ryan, what are your initial thoughts with the intro and this topic that we're talking about today?
Very important. It's probably one of the most common questions I get asked by clients, by everybody who is interested in running Google Ads is, what should my budget be? And similar to what you say, I kind of frame it in a way where I say, okay, well, imagine you had a really bad month and you didn't get a sale or you didn't get a lead and you spent a sum of money. However, you were still able to put food on the table. You were still able to pay your rent, your mortgage, provide for your family, all that kind of stuff. So you wouldn't necessarily miss that money that you've wasted, if you like, on Google Ads. Not wasted, invested, of course, because you invest in the data. But I say, okay, well, imagine if we had a bad month, nothing came in, and you wouldn't miss that money. What is that figure? For some people, that figure is $300. For some people, that is £500. For some people, it could be more, where they can afford to spend £1,000 and not miss it, basically. So basically what is coming back to is spend what you feel comfortable with. Don't put yourself out of pocket or in debt or anything like that. Start that way. So if it's $300, it's $300. It's $10 a day. If it's 500, then it's like $15 a day or whatever it could be. So that's something that I always look at. But a lot of the times clients say they want to get as much of an output. So they want as many conversions for the least amount of money possible, and I always believe that low budget campaigns are the hardest accounts to work on. If you've got a big account and they're spending 1,500, 2,000, 5,000, a month, maybe even more, 15,000, whatever, it's easier because you've got more testing abilities. You've got more diversification across different campaign types. You could test a brand campaign alongside a search campaign, alongside a performance max campaign with a dynamic search ad campaign, etc., etc., etc. So I always say that, yeah, it's a difficult, it's an uphill battle, and I think low budget campaigns can work, in my opinion and my experience, but you have to get everything right. The stars have to be aligned.
Yeah, I definitely agree that the stars have to be aligned. It has to be a perfect storm in a way. And you mentioned that it is very difficult to work off of, but I agree. If I was to answer the question, low budget campaigns, can they work? I would say yes, it can definitely work. But some of the details to that working is it could, for me, take longer time to see actual insights. And insights is the crutch that us Google managers, Google Ads managers work off of. So if we don't have insights, which is data plus time, then it becomes very difficult in the regard that we might be pivoting or executing our tests and optimizations prematurely, where that could be sustainable short term, but not in the long term. So what do I mean by that? So if you're saying, okay, I have a budget of say 300 USD each month, I would consider that a low budget. For me, anything under 500 USD is low budget. It doesn't matter what your industry is. If you're spending under 500, that's low. So one of the things that I would probably do if I was in that point, if I was having to work with a budget that's low, is there's a pace now that I'm spread a little too thin where I have to pivot faster, because if I don't pivot fast enough, then your whole budget, your low budget, is going to be expended. So that's something that is very difficult. And me going into more of what I see in my portion is, when you're made to or forced to do things in a faster way, executing off premature data or statistics, I could be working off unestablished data, and unestablished data could have a blip of a week or two that says this is the way to go. And then I go that way. And because I only waited 1 week, then the data that I have doesn't have a long enough parameter to be established. Then it could be unsustainable in the future. So that's something for me that's a big hindrance to why Google Ads with a low budget, an account with a low budget, is difficult. Do you ever experience the same things, Ryan?
Sometimes I think every account is always different. I was having this conversation with someone the other day, in that you could have the same business have two different Google Ads accounts, and in my opinion, you'll see two different results. That's how different Google Ads can be, in my opinion, in my experience. So, it's not always like, oh, well, we've got like, the same niche that we operate in, you can just duplicate the campaign and expect to see the similar cost per click, the similar conversion volume, because it might be the same niche, for example, but let's say two plumbers, one's in like Denver, another is in like Dallas or something like that. You know, they obviously have their own radius of the areas that they serve, but you could easily duplicate the campaigns across, of course, but you will experience different results because different competitors, different searchers, and things like that. So yeah, it's always difficult, but in my opinion, accounts are very different and very bespoke to the business. But low budget campaigns, it's tough. It's just it's always an uphill battle. That's all I can really say. You just have to make sure that everything's on point. So yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And a lot of the times they ask why is 500 or less, difficult to work with? Why is that low budget? And it really just constrains you, because like I said before in the very first intro point that I said, Google Ads is an auction. So you have other competitors that are established that may have way more budget than you, that may have started Google Ads way earlier than you, or even their business earlier than you, that have established their machine of Google Ads, and they're happy to spend 2, 3, 4x your budget because they're getting that return on ad spend. So how do you assimilate into that if you're going in with a $500 budget when the auction is set by competitors spending way more than you? There are things that you can do, but like Ryan said, it is a bit difficult. But for me, this is why we're here. We're here to provide. It doesn't matter what budget you have. If you're willing to stay steady for 3 months, we're going to find something. If it's traction or if it's your business isn't good for Google Ads, right? So we're going to find something, basically. So moving on to a little bit more of my points, what has to be top tier and what has to be aligned and laser focused for you to have your best chance with a small budget to be successful on Google Ads? And I believe it starts with your website and landing pages. It doesn't matter if we do amazing top tier Google Ads jujitsu and we master everything and all these top tricks, but if we're driving traffic to something that's not conversion optimized, if your conversion is a lead or a purchase, then we're just driving traffic and you're not going to get the conversions on the other side of that. One big reason, or one big, I guess, experience that I've had with a particular client is they were selling a very expensive product, and it was like a cappuccino machines for commercial use and things like that. So you would probably, the upside of their lowest product would probably be like $2,000 to $3,000, all the way up to $15,000, $20,000. And they had a very small budget, but we had at a certain time close to 20, 25 return on ad spend. And yeah, it was ridiculous, but even the owner was like, no, we want more. We want the sustainable, we want this to be sustainable. I told him, well, your budget is just too low for this. But what really made that success even get up to that ridiculous return on ad spend was the owner was an SEO, and the product pages, the website, the front end SEO, the back end, all of it was on point. So we were driving traffic and we had a really high hit rate of conversion rate, because whatever traffic with that small budget that we brought onto the website or product pages had a high conversion. So that is one of the first things that I would love to tell clients that maybe have a bit of a constricted budget, to say, hey, well, this can work, but I'm going to need a little bit from you or your developmental team or your developer team to make sure, hey, does it say that it's in stock? Does it provide you exactly when it will arrive? These things on the product page that should be mandatory and on there to make sure that all the clicks that we have has the highest chance of converting. Making sure that the search engine optimization is good, the user experience is good on the website and landing pages. It has to be top tier. And if you don't have that, then you're kind of setting yourself back. And another thing in addition to that is, What about the actual offering in itself? You could have a wonderful website, SEO on point, everything great, item description, shipping, everything, reviews. But is the product itself competitive? And sometimes it's hard for a client to disattach themselves from thinking that their product is not competitive because it's either their baby or they've had some type of connection or relationship to the product. So you have to be the voice of reason and really say, hey, from a non-judgmental outsider perspective, your speed of delivery and service, your price, your reputation, all these things your competitors are trumping you on. How do we fix at least two of those or one of those, right? If you're priced out of your competition, you have to let them know with screenshots. Hey, you're overpriced. This is your actual competition right next to you on Google Shopping. This is why you're overpriced. Or if you see that there's maybe faulty reputation, you don't have any blogs. You don't even talk about any of your products or your services or even any case studies or experiences or reviews. Why would anyone want to go on your website and convert if no one else has ever converted before? So that's really, really tough to kind of get across to clients. But if you want to be successful as a freelancer, management, PPC manager, you have to be very, very transparent and set the expectation that, hey, these things have to be fixed, or you're going to be looking and scratching your head in the second month and saying, why do we have zero sales or leads? Any thoughts on kind of like what I've discussed so far, Ryan?
Yeah, so many thoughts. There's a lot to unpack there. Um, yeah, I think beginning with, landing pages, website pages, this is the thing that, can help us as Google Ads account managers. We can only control what's inside the ecosystem of Google Ads, inside the platform. I always say to people, we can't give you conversions. We can give you the highest quality, clean traffic that's in the best position to convert. And this is what I learned from you, actually, to be fair, is one of the very first things that you kind of taught me when we started talking. And I think it's because of your background in, e-commerce, online retail and things like that. But you said, there's so many factors, variable factors that affect everything: speed of service, branding, reputation, pricing, offering, returns, all of these things. There's so many things that just affect whether or not somebody is going to convert or not. And for the most part, all of those things are outside of our control. It really comes down to having a strong website, having a strong presence, a brand, good reviews, speed of service, all that good stuff. And just making our lives easier. If I was speaking to someone not too long ago and he had a terrible website, in all honesty, really, really bad, I would not send traffic to that because there was no way anyone could get in touch with him. No one anyway, anyone could leave their contact details or anything like that. He just didn't have it on his website. So it would make my life almost a misery because I'm sending all the traffic. I'm not seeing any conversions because people can't convert. There is no way they can convert on the site. So, that's where landing pages, having a really good website, things like that, really come into its own. And you do kind of need it to send the best quality traffic to something that's going to convert. And yeah, someone said to me the other day as well, I've got all these stories on, so I don't know why I'm saying oh, this guy said this and that guy said this. But someone said the
It's
other
good.
day, I don't, yeah, thanks. I don't want, what did he say? I don't want clicks. I want conversions. I want leads. And, it's well, it doesn't really work like that. We can get you clicks and we can get you conversions. Whether or not you see them as actual leads, that's not really our problem. We're giving you the clicks, we're giving you the traffic, and they just so happen to convert when they're on the website. The fact that you're frustrated that you're not getting conversions or leads may be due to the fact that your website isn't good. Maybe you're not competitive on price. There's so many other factors rather than just blaming Google Ads. So it is a lot of woe is me. I think it is a lot of finger pointing to say, well, it must be Google Ads because our website is fantastic. And, you take a look at it and it just looks like a website that's been made in the noughties, and it's just so outdated. It's got flashing GIFs and things like that. So, Yeah, that's my thoughts. A little bit of a rant there, actually.
No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, well, it's a rant because the question, does a low budget campaign work, kind of stems from a specific sect of clients. And I could tell you right now, it's not, it's a specific sect. Let's just leave it like that. And, but we're trying to provide, value here on the high end, because it is, we pride ourselves in Google Ads Management, PPC, for, as a challenge, right? So we, of course, will have an easier time with a client that perhaps has, all these in play. But part of also being a PPC manager is being able to distinguish and decipher where the bottlenecks are in your website, your landing page, and how they can fix it. Because if you can't fix that, then like we said before, Google Ads is traffic. That's what we're here to do, is provide you the traffic. The conversions should come, but some of the times it's out of our hands. And even just one, to kind of wrap up this point for me is are you providing perceived deals on your website? The internet is so competitive. If you're in e-commerce or lead gen, it's the land of comparison shopping. So, it's not like they're just going to have your one website, and your one website, if you sell lead gen or e-com, is going to be the best thing ever. There's going to be other people right next to you, in the tab next to you or right below your search results, that you have to compete with. So what is the perceived deal or competitive advantage that your website has over theirs? It's definitely not budget. It's not the traffic, right? So you have to provide a perceived deal. If it's a discount, or even like a free consultation, or free diagnosis or something like that, to really stand out. Because right now, the budget is low on the Google Ads side, so your offering has to be killer. That's one thing that I really want to state and keep reiterating. But like I said, a lower budget on Google Ads puts a lot of pressure on everything else. So Google Ads has to, be basically firing correctly. And sometimes that's not the case if those adjacent items are not. So what about your customer service? A lot of the times the customer wants to talk to you, and they're coming from Google Ads, and then it says your 24-hour chat, but then you leave them on red or don't reply. So these are the small nuances that is providing you a click that could be a lead or can be a sale. But if your customer service isn't there, or you don't have a place to contact us, or they're confused about what this page is, or this product is, you have to be able to answer these objections proactively as opposed to retroactively, so that you can understand, okay, well, we're doing all that we can on my side or on the website side to utilize every single click of the low budget Google Ads account. Aside from landing pages, email marketing, do you have your email marketing set up? A lot of the times there's a multi-touch points when it comes to a conversion, regardless if it's e-com or lead gen. So maybe a follow-up email, maybe an abandoned checkout or add to cart. All those things can make Google Ads look really well, or really good, if they're implemented. So those things, more social proof with social media, your on-page, off-page SEO, and the big one, especially if you're in e-commerce, is your Google Merchant Center. How does the Google Merchant Center look? Is it optimized? Are you, looking on the Google Merchant Center, are you looking for the competitive advantages in price, where you could show more of these products, as opposed to the ones where there's a huge gap between the competitors beating you in price? Because all we know is any product listing ad is only going to have the product and the price on it, and the photo. So that's really important, to make sure your Google Merchant Center is broken down in a way where you're describing the taxonomy or the product category on the back end. You're providing a good title that's descriptive, that's not a bunch of fluff, that's actually describing the colors, the variants, the type of product that you have, along with the item descriptors. 5,000 characters to the item description. Most of us only use 100. What does Google Ads see when you're using 100 characters out of the 5,000, and your competitors are using 4,000 descriptive, very, very descriptive descriptions in Google Merchant Center? So those are things to look at for sure. How I would basically categorize or make a small budget campaign work is I would have start with the bestsellers, accentuate the positive, as I always say. If it's your top service, your top sellers, have that in the shopping, manual search, everything manual, because you have to be able to toggle up and down. For me, I love automated, but it's just too much at stake to have all these clicks just go randomly haywire. I have to have a little bit more all manual, when it comes to what I do for a small budget. And of course, layering on that PMAX remarketing, that should only be 10% of the full budget or 5% as kind of the remarketing agent to capture the in between spots that your shopping and your manual shopping and manual search campaigns are lacking. So that for me is the breakdown, but I wanted to kind of focus more on the other side as opposed to just the Google Ads side, because like I said, it's a particular section of clients that ask for this question that sometimes their website and offering isn't where it should be. So that's it for me. Ryan, if you want to, break down anything else that I spoke about or go into your points, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you very much. No, I think, I was reading the show notes just as you was talking as well. I was listening intently, don't get me wrong, to every word. I was like hanging on the edge of my seat on every word that you were saying. But at the same time, I was looking at the show notes and I was thinking, this is a really good structure of how we're doing this, because I feel like you're giving the theory of, can low budget Google Ads campaigns work, and this is the theory behind how they can work or how they can't work. But what I'm going to talk about is a little bit more practical side of things, about in terms of, okay, you've got a low budget. Let me give you the advice to get up and running tomorrow, let's say, with a campaign, just a search campaign. And I'll get into that in a second, but I'm thinking, should we just break, Gene, and just do a bit of a tip of the week beforehand? Yeah. So my tip of the week, because Gene's hogged the mic for so long, I'm just going to take the mic away from him now, is to invest to see results. A client said to me the other day, I want to spend as little as possible and get as many sales as possible, but I don't want to invest too much. I want to spend as little as possible, and I want to get as much as possible. I think he said something like 50 to 60 sales a day, and he only wanted to spend, I don't know, something like $10-15 a day or something. I forget. But we have to step back and we have to be realistic. More money means better data, means better results, means quicker data as well, essentially. Because again, we're not paying for conversions, we're not paying for sales, we're not paying for leads, we're paying for clicks, we're paying for impressions, we're paying for data. It's an investment. This isn't going to happen overnight. If it did, then everybody will be doing it, and Google Ads wouldn't have the lure that it does, because it would be saturated. So it doesn't work for everybody, but make our lives easier as account managers. Invest, have a serious budget that you're willing to invest in. And this kind of works with the whole theme of the show as well, about low budgets. Whilst you can have a low budget, and I'm not disregarding that, it's easier if you have a realistic budget of more like, $1,000 per day, for example, or even, $500 a day. $50 a day is a decent budget to get started with. You can always scale up as the months go on, but you're going to get quicker results. You're going to get data inside the account much quicker, so that Gene and I can do our jobs more effectively and optimize for sustainable growth and things like that. So that's why my tip of the week would be, seriously sit down and think, okay, don't see Google Ads as, whatever. See it as an investment. You wouldn't expect to invest $5 into the S&P 500 and get $1,000 back, right, instantly. It doesn't work that way. That, with investing, you need to compound effects and things like that. There's so many different methods. But if you have a realistic budget that or figure where you can invest to see a return, that's much more predominant, in my opinion, than saying, well, we kind of want to test the water. We've only really got $300 to test with, can you make it work? Well, yeah, we can, but you're not going to get as much data, as many results as quickly as you would like. It's going to take time. So my tip of the week will be to just be realistic when it comes to deciding how much you want to spend with Google Ads.
Yeah, and on that vein, I think my tip of the week is very similar in uh, that regard, where we have to, for freelancers and for any business, clients or owners out there listening to this, but we have to understand the question and the answer to it. Does Google Ads work for all businesses if given enough time and budget? So that's definitely related to this topic. And, well, first we have to define, what do you mean by does it work? Right? Is, because this is very relative to whatever the client or you as a business owner wants for your business with Google Ads. Can you get leads or sales with Google Ads if given enough time and budget? Of course, yes, for sure. But can you be profitable in regards to those same leads and sales with Google Ads if given enough time and budget? And that's where it's different. And I would say sometimes, right? Because a lot of the times we don't even define the other side of it. Well, yeah, we asked the question for this topic: low budget campaigns, can they work? But what do we mean by work, right? Are you going to get a sale or a lead within 3 months? Yeah, probably. Are you going to be able to sustain just, that return on ad spend or cost per conversion? That's a whole different story. And being transparent as a freelancer PPC manager, with this being one of the first things I discuss with my clients on that intro Zoom, that, hey, there is a chance out there that you might be priced out with this particular budget, or your competitors are just owning you. You could see it, and we'll be able to show you with search impression share loss due to budget. And you'll be able to see these things where it says right there, you're not going to be competitive, right? Your search impression share is low, or whatever it may be with your products. You're just not competitive. So that is just so important to set that regarding, can this work with a low budget? Yes, but define what work means, right? Define what work means. If you're thinking 10x ROAS, and that's your definition of work with a 300 a month budget, I'll tell you right now, no. I'll tell you right now, unless you have to do the math. Ryan was saying one of his clients wanted 50 or 60 a day sales, and they were spending $15. That's like 10 cents per conversion, something ridiculous like that, even less. So yeah, we have to be very, very transparent with what Ryan says, and letting him know that is an investment, as a tip of the week for him. And also for me, the tip of the week is understanding the definition of what can it work means on the work side. So just defining that and letting the clients know that it could be a different version of what working means. We have to explain that and be transparent. So that's that's my tip of the week.
Thank you very much. It's always good to give the audience what they want, give them some tips, and kind of go forward with it. And hopefully people learn from what we have to say. So that's the main thing. But yeah, getting into it then. So for me, it's more about the practical side. I want you to finish watching this podcast, this video today. If you're listening on Spotify, finish the podcast. And then tomorrow you can set up a low budget campaign. So what does that look like? I would advise starting off with one search campaign. Let's build foundations. Let's build the groundwork to begin with. Get those conversions coming in, or at the very least, some engagement data, so that you can go back to the client or the business owner or your boss or whoever it might be and say, this is how the first month has gone. This is what I was working on. This is what the plan is for next month and going forward, and things like that. So let's just start with the foundations. One search campaign, one ad group. Let's not try and make anything too crazy. We don't need, 5 or 6 or 10 different ad groups and this, that, and the other. We just need to be simple. We need to keep it simple to begin with. One search campaign, one ad group, 5 to 10, maybe 15 keywords, and for me, I would probably say broad match to begin with. I was toying with the idea of suggesting an exact match, but the problem with exact match is you pay a premium for that traffic because, when you bid on exact match keywords, the quality of traffic is bottom of funnel. It's people that are ready to convert, which, sounds great, especially for low budget campaigns. That's who you want to target, don't you? You want to get as many conversions, see an ROI as quick as possible. But again, you have to pay the price for that. Is premium quality traffic. You might not have the budget for that. You might spend all of your budget on two, maybe three, maybe five clicks and be done for the whole day. You might tap out or cap out by midday, with a low budget bidding on exact match keywords. So this is why I think broad match would be a better strategy. 5, 10, maybe 15 broad match keywords, and every 2 to 3, maybe 5 days at a push, go inside, stay on top of your search terms report, add negative keywords, because as we know, broad match triggers a lot of low quality searches, a lot of informational, competitor based, cheap, free, salary and things like that. Lots of irrelevant searches come through on broad match. So make sure you're staying on top of that search terms report every 3 to 5, maybe 7 days at a push, is what I would say, because you want to make sure that you're bidding on high quality traffic that's a reduced cost compared to, say, exact match. So obviously with exact match you pay a premium for those clicks. With broad match you don't pay as much because the traffic quality isn't as high. It's more top of funnel type of searches. However, it can convert, and it does convert. I've seen it firsthand. As long as you're staying on top of your search terms report, adding negative keywords, you could get conversions at a fraction of the cost that you would if you were bidding on all exact match. So that's just something to consider. I would also say start off with manual bidding, control the bids. Don't overpay for bids, especially on broad match. If you are paying $2, $3, $5, obviously it's niche depending, sector depending. But if you're overpaying on broad match keywords, then you might not need to. You might just be wasting your money away for no reason. Typically, in my experience, broad match are very cost effective. So a $1 bid, a $2 bid is about right, really, maybe even less than that. You don't need $5 bids, $8 bids, and things like that. It's very cost effective in this day and age as well. So wait until you have around 15 to 20 conversions on manual bidding, and then at that point switch over to maximize conversions. That's what I would say. Once you have around 15 to 20, maybe even 30 conversions, 30 to be on the safe side, switch over to maximize conversions, and then after a couple of months you are at a crossroads. Then you're getting more conversion volume coming in, you're giving Google more signals about historical conversion data. So you could look to switch over to a target CPA bidding strategy if you wanted to, so you can kind of cap the amount that you're paying for a lead or a sale. If it's more e-commerce, you could look to use ROAS as well, target ROAS, to make sure that you're maintaining a healthy return on investment. Or you could say, well, I'm happy with that campaign now. Let me allocate this new revenue that we've had from the first month of running Google Ads. Let's take that budget away and create a new campaign type, with that budget. And now all of a sudden you're diversifying yourself. You're not just relying on one campaign. You could have a shopping campaign. You could have a second search campaign. You could have a dynamic search ad campaign, something like that. As Gene mentioned before, landing page, website, it has to be on point. You can't expect to send traffic to a badly designed website, a poorly designed website that is just not intuitive, that is low quality, that doesn't have any calls to action. You want to make sure that you're sending traffic to the best quality website, the best customer experience type of website, where it's easy for people to check out and make a purchase. It's easy for people to give you a call or to fill out their details. I always say to people, make sure that save people a click, have the contact form embedded above the fold, so one of the first things you see, and have it embedded, ready to be filled out. Your mobile phone is really good at autofill these days. I know it is for Apple. I don't know about Android, but you can autofill contact forms. And it's just so easy to just say, yep, this is my name, this is my number, hit send and go. You're saving someone a click rather than saying, contact us today. You have to click on that button to be served a pop-up and then you fill the data. Save them the click. Just fill out the data, fill out the form there and then. You're going to see a lot more conversions come through. So make sure that the landing page or the website is on point. And your offer has to be good. It has to be good. This is what I was saying about all the stars need to be aligned on low budget campaigns. You have to make sure that you're doing everything right because you can't afford not to. You don't have the budget there not to waste it. So you got to make sure that the offer is good. Are you competitive on price? Is your speed of service really good? Is your product, is it a need? Is it a want? Or is it just a nice to have? Think about that. So make sure that your offering is good. And obviously, as a side part, branding, reputation, reviews, things like that can also really help and boost conversion rates. And just finishing off before I get Gene to kind of chime in a little bit, but I've got a few more points after this as well. I'm just reading my notes. So many times clients don't have the money and they shouldn't even be running Google Ads yet. That's my honest opinion. When people come to me and they say, well, we've had to take out a loan or we'll just max out our credit card just to get through another month, or, we really want to test Google Ads. So, we'll max out the credit card for a month and see how we go. I've had phone calls like that, conversations like that. And it just, I try and advise the person not to do it because they don't sound to me as though they're financially sustainable yet, and that they shouldn't even be running Google Ads at this moment in time. They should either be focusing on organic, maybe SEO efforts, maybe just social media, posting on Facebook and Instagram and getting a bit more of a following before actually putting any money into advertising. So think about that. Think about, yes, can a low budget campaign work? Yes, it can. But even before you get to that, should you even be running Google Ads at the moment? Have that conversation. Gene, what are your thoughts on anything you want to kind of pick up on there?
Yeah, I think just real quick, that one last part, making sure that even your on-page SEO is on point, or social media. I think people forget that Google in general is a search engine. So how can Google crawl your website if you don't have any keywords on it, or if the product page the title on the product page doesn't even have the search keyword that you're going for on Google Ads? So those are things that are very basic, or even your edit alt text, for your images. Like, all these things are a unifying theme to help you on the organic side, so that you could pour that fire and that gasoline on it, so that when you are ready for paid ads, Google Ads, you have a baseline fundamental to drive traffic to. So yeah, I think those are all good points.
Thank you. And just to pick up on what you said there as well, something that I missed out is that can also help with quality score. If you have your keywords as H1s and your image alt text all, correctly, set up with keywords and things like that, if you help that side of things on your website landing page with SEO, it's only going to benefit inside Google Ads because, again, everything's aligned. Google will see that there's a clear consistency between the keyword you're bidding on, the content on your website. It's going to impact quality score, and then quality score is going to reduce your cost per clicks. You won't pay as much as other people pay for a click through Google Ads. So that is a huge benefit, and it can also help reduce your cost per conversions, because if you're paying less for a click and you're converting quite well, then you're going to massively reduce your cost per conversion as well. Continuing with the theme though, clients don't have the money, shouldn't be running Google Ads yet. The other side of it is, I think businesses are sometimes too heavily reliant on Google Ads, and that they should look to do a multi-channel approach, more of a holistic approach, rather than put all your eggs in one basket and say, Google Ads, we're only going to advertise all of our efforts through Google Ads. Consider Meta, consider TikTok, Instagram, other channels as well. Consider SEO, consider Bing or Microsoft Ads, as it's called, I think. There's so many different platforms out there to get clients, to get leads. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So I do think, clients are, or people are, a little bit too heavily reliant with Google Ads. And yeah, it kind of counteracts with the whole theme of low budget campaigns. If you don't have that budget, then, maybe, well, should you be running Google Ads is the first question. If you think you should, then, let's go ahead with that. But have you exhausted all of the efforts first? Have you ran on Facebook? Doing not paid social. What's the other, like organic social? I guess you'd call it. Posting and things like that. Have you tried Instagram and X and TikTok and places like that? If you have, and you're seeing results, then maybe Google Ads is the next logical step. But on the flip side, if you've tried all those things and then you're saying, right, we're ready to run Google Ads. Okay, well, have you had any direct sales? Have you had any organic sales? Have you had any sales through social media? Have you had any leads through social media? Well, no, we've done this for 3 months, and we've not seen any results yet, but we feel really good about Google Ads. Well, then my counter to you would be, well, what makes you think Google Ads is a solution? Because all Google Ads is going to do is going to basically amplify your existing lead flow or sales revenue, which at this point, do you even have that? So there's a huge questions to be asked even before you press go on a low budget campaign. You really need to say, right, is this a campaign? Is this the right avenue for us to go down? Can we afford to do this? Have we exhausted all of the opportunities that are available to us? And just kind of sit down and think about those. And typically, in my experience, people that come to me and say, well, we want to run a low budget, we run a low budget, we really want to be cost effective with our efforts. It's usually businesses that are low quality drop shipping businesses that are clearly drop shippers, poorly made Shopify websites, or businesses that are just startups, businesses that are just really old school people who have done a lot offline. They're just trying to come online, but they don't realize how much they need and things like that. But typically, in my experience, when people are on a restricted budget, they usually have a poor offer, a poor website, bad service, bad reviews, something like that. So, yeah. But like I said, low budget campaigns can work. They do work. I have a couple of clients that are on low budgets and they're doing really well. So it is relative to the niche as well. I'll say that, because a low budget for one niche might be a decent budget for another niche. For example, if you're a finance broker, if you're an accountant, attorney, or anything like that, maybe a $500 per month budget is too low. You're not really going to see much traction with that. But if you're an online retailer and you have maybe 10, 20, 25, 50 products, $500 a month might be a decent starting budget to get the ball rolling, and then you can increase from there. So it is niche dependent, sector dependent. Any thoughts on what I've said, Gene?
Yeah, no, it definitely is different for each website, market, niche. And to Ryan's point, I think it's really important to understand that Google Ads is just one cog in the wheel of digital marketing, or even more specifically, PPC or paid ads. There's other things like Facebook or like Meta or TikTok that could get you way further with your, in regards to CPM or CPV compared to what we have on Google Ads. But the caveat to that is being on google.com equates to very, very high purchase intent. That's why we're on Google. When you stray away from that on a TikTok, Facebook, Etsy, Pinterest, it's the intent isn't as high because it then kind of transforms into more of an interruption of scroll, right? As opposed to typing in search terms or onto google.com for a particular action. So that's one thing that is very important to define why it's cheaper on other platforms and why it's more expensive on Google. So yeah, but it can definitely work, like Ryan said.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode? Are you pretty happy?
Yeah, pretty happy, man. Yeah, it can work. It's gonna take more time, and it might be more difficult. That's kind of the gist of it, right?
That's a good roundup. That's a too long didn't read roundup. I like it.
Yeah.
If people want to work with you, if people have a question for you, where can people find you?
Yeah, you guys can just go, or ladies can go to genevillanos.com. Everything is on genevillanos.com.
And for me, if you want to go to ryanfentonppc.co.uk, you can contact me through there. Schedule a call with me to discuss your project, your business, whether it's e-commerce, whether it's lead generation. I do both. Gene is more e-commerce based, but he's slowly learning the ways of the force through lead generation as well. So we'll convert him soon. But yeah, if that's it, this has been another good episode, in my opinion. Really enjoyed talking about this one. We always release content every Monday, Mountain Time, wherever the hell that is. I don't know. It should be UK time, in my opinion, but it is what it is. We're everywhere. Like I always say, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, of course. So, yeah, make sure you listen out for the next episode. Follow us, subscribe if you can. But that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you all later.